Hello and very welcome to the streaming here out of the BetaPort. My name is Amrei Andras and I'm the co-founder and partner of Nouveau Applied Futures, a transformation and time travel consultancy. And we have been time traveling here in this wonderful BetaPort, a hub for mobility and spatial testing here in, on the GREENTECH festival. And we traveled to the futures, 4 different futures of the future of mobility. And we start with Dennis Hawner.
Hi, I introduced myself quick to the streaming. My name is Dennis Hawner, partner at GRAFT Architects. We are working quite often with mobility companies and thinking a lot about the future of mobility. And here in this workshop today, I had the pleasure to have a few clusters with extraordinary people who helped me to define a bit the future of mobility infrastructure. As a result, I have to say the future will be bright, as far as I can see it now. We will have better community spaces, more green in the cities. We will have a more efficient way of organizing our individual mobility. And we can do that in various versions. So there will be not one major mobility way of using mobility. There are several ways of, and we will get more ways, more possibilities to reach a destination. That I can say is everybody sure about it. Yeah, the big chance, we talked about different impacts of the mobility hubs, but in general, I would say the mobility hub of the future does need to provide more than just the mobility. We need to integrate it into the city. We need to offer more services there. We need to make it to a destination that people want to go there, and we need to connect it to the community around it. I would say that is the big point for me today. And it needs to be flexible because we still believe that the mobility of the future will still change. And that structure needs to be flexible and needs to make that possible. I would keep it like that. One comment I need to say is with all the topics we have ecologically, political, social and everything, we had at the last cluster, we had a nice thing which I put here on top. It's related to health, and that is a topic we haven't had down here, and I think it's really important. The future mobility will be more silence, and with that it will be more healthy for all of us and will create probably a more healthy public space in the future. That was the most interesting comment for me, I have to say. The rest of it is also fantastic, and I leave it to that.
Thank you very much, Dennis.
Thank you.
I would highly love to be in this desirable future scenario of silence. Please stay with me for a second, Dennis. I have one short question. Even if silence is really nice, how did you experience the talking, the exchange about futures? Because this is actually the most important part, and that's why it's also so nice to be in here to spark these inspiring inspirations. What was it for you?
I think that is an amazing format, I have to say, because there are people from different backgrounds. Yeah, and as an architect, I of course have an idea, and I think of a few of these topics I'm thinking on my daily work. Others, they are not on my map as present. Yeah? And with all these guys here with their different opinions, that was great to see that you can see the topic we have from a different angle and different perspective. And that I liked a lot about it.
Great.
I learned a lot today.
Even in a light speed dating.
Yes, even in light speed dating.
He was a really great co-pilot.
Yeah, good.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thanks.
Thank you. So next, future was discovered by Filippo Imberti. And Manuel, can you help me with the board?
Thank you.
And together with his team, he explored the data-driven urbanism.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it was a very fruitful discussion with every group. I tried to cluster a little bit in an unconventional way, all the thoughts. I have to say that in a nutshell, the discussion was definitely a lot about the political aspects, who actually should be in charge of taking or the decision-making process about where the new mobility hubs should be. And one of the results was that generally the idea is that yes, data should be a fundamental, should be a base for defining, helping, taking this decision, informing these decisions more meaningfully, more accurately. But ultimately, the governments, the municipalities should also have their leadership on these decisions, together with the citizens, and it should be a participative approach. And this closely relates to the topic of data. Of course, there is a lot of uncertainty, and we all know all the possible threats. But it was more a discussion about the type of data should definitely be people-centric, should be about the people, but also not only about the demands, but rather also about the constraints. What data should inform the decisions of where the new mobility infrastructure should be and should look like, should be defined also by environmental constraints, social constraints, and ultimately also more about geography. It was interesting to see that generally we all try to think about a system that is decentralized, that is flexible, that allows for multimodality, of course, but also adaptability and resiliency. Yeah, I would say that those were the main results out of this session. It was very interesting to talk with everyone because, same as David said before, there was a lot of inputs from different expertise, different than mine. So it was very nice to have all this discussion and sharing ideas with everyone. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. Yeah, give a big clap.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
One question. When you travel into the future dealing with data, did you feel in this group or in your work some kind of a distance when you need to talk with people about data and technological talks in this topic? Did you experience this? Yeah,
definitely, and me myself as well. Sometimes I'm not comfortable with this because obviously data can have a lot of bias, and it could be seen really as pure information that we take and analyze, and we see as numbers, tables. But sometimes it is also a more soft type of component that is, that relates to people, humans, ultimately. But generally, I think it was very interesting to acknowledge that technology in general is already here with us, and we have to take into account for it. We can't just neglect it.
Exactly. And that's also why it's so important to bring people in this discussion and to develop positive scenarios. So we take away the fear of dealing with data in any kind of topic.
Exactly.
So also therefore it was really nice getting this input from you today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. So next topic lead, we have Gudrun from Berlin, Tegel.
Yeah, my name is Gudrun. I am the managing director of the Berlin-Tegel GmbH. Berlin-Tegel GmbH is a municipal company. It's commissioned with the conversion of the former airport Berlin-Tegel. We are talking here about the mobility hubs we have in Tegel. We have 5 hubs in Tegel. We are planning a district with 9,000 flats, completely car-free. And we have on the edge 5 hubs, 6-level storage hubs for the cars and for the completely mobility. And in our discussion, we had the role of these hubs would be the churches of the future. So we would say everything special in this area, in this district of the Schumacher Quartier should be in these hubs. And the discussion was what could it be? So we don't have any post boxes anymore in the flats. Everything should be in the hubs. We have these drone lander spaces on top of the hubs. and then we have all parcels bringing in boxes, and everybody should go there to meet. It should be social, it should be very efficient, but also laid back functions should be there. So it should be, yeah, it should be the church of the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Big clap for Gudrun. Thank you. When you think about those future churches, this will be a hub or like a meeting point for people to exchange. Is this also, which stakeholders would be involved there? Is it just the people that work there, people that you invite from like the not participants, people who live in the city? What would you say?
It's not, the Schumacher Quartier is not a working area. We have the Urban Tech Republic just next to it. So it's more just a living area, really. Yeah, of course you have shops and you have social functions, but it's really a living area. And so that's why we came to the point of these churches. Because it's more a social thing. It's not for working spaces. Yeah.
Well, I asked this question just to spark those interdisciplinary conversations. So if you invite other people just to also have a look into those hubs, so it's not like a bubble, so people can come and actually see this as a one visionary project. Invite people to exchange and talk about these things.
It's a social about the daily living.
Yeah. Great. Super. Okay. I like this kind of church, definitely. Thank you very much, Gudrun. Okay, so we have our last topic, and this is Marvin from BetaPort.
So hi, my name is Marvin Bratke. I'm the founder of Urban Beta and the BetaPort Sustainable Mobility Hubs on demand. And this was also the topic of our cluster today. We were discussing on-demand structures in architecture, in placemaking, and especially for future mobility hubs. And maybe as a first thing I want to mention is a big thank you to everybody who came today. We had experts from energy providers, from mobility provider, architects, city planners, engineers, experts in their fields and thought leaders. And it was a very vivid discussion, not only about opportunities, but also challenges we have to face in the future of mobility and hubs in particular. The model of making our buildings and making our hubs more flexible in the future is, I think, a very pressing topic that sparked, it sparked a lot of energy, it sparked a lot of discussion, and we talked about several topics, including one of the topics I really like was risk-taking. For example, today you take a lot of millions into a very rigid building structure that nobody wants to touch until it's written off. And we talked about how this could change in the future. Yeah, what architecture, what spatial systems we have to invent maybe to make on-demand building possible, and also to take more risk with our buildings, to create a laboratory in our cities that faces or that can create anticipation and a certain transparency towards new modes of mobility, towards new modes of sharing. And this, I think this was a very interesting topic. We talked about how our buildings can be reused in the future, what kind of financial models this takes. Yeah, is this really a financial model, or can we create something, for example, a database for our materials, like a Madaster, where everything is tracked and gets certain rights, and to reach these on-demand structures, I think this is it's a very important topic. So when you start building buildings that can be, or that are ready for disassembly, that can be reused in other spots, that can allow functional use mixes. Yeah, that's also something important that was also in the group before. How do we make our buildings more flexible for these different use cases? How do we create actually social spaces that also provide mobility for us? Yeah? And how can this change over time? And how do we evaluate it? And there are certain possibilities in there, and some stuff we discussed. We discussed the communal aspects, the political aspects that need to change, also certain laws and lobbying that we need to provide in the future. In the end, we also had a very interesting discussion about file-to-factory processes, what modular building blocks actually could offer to building in general, and also to mobility hubs to bring our buildings more flexibility in the future, and also new use cases and new scenarios where we can all live together and be mobile.
Super. Thank you very much, Marvin. Big clap also for the last round. Thank you. So one of the most important future skills is actually flexibility. So that's why we really love also this project and to partner with you, because I mean you really adapt to all the needs. You need to adapt also to uncertainty. How long does it take to build it up and down?
I was talking about real-life laboratories before. For us, this is a real-life laboratory. It took 3.5 days to build by non-skilled workers. The idea of the system is actually based or rooted in the idea of democratization of design. So like one of the first thoughts was like, why can't the community build the hub itself? And when you go outside, you will also see like furniture built from the same system. So why can the hub not disassemble in the future? And it can become like a furniture in our living room. And when more people come together, they can build communal hubs. They can build buildings they need. It can be all provided and can change over time. And we talked a lot about like hackability of buildings. So what can you change in 2 minutes? What can you change in 2 hours? And what can you change in 2 days, for example? And with our first test case, we saw we can build a complete mobility hub in 2 days, actually. And it's all made possible by this reversible kit of parts logic.
Super nice. So you can build a flexible mobility hub, and when I think about all those topics that we saw here, maybe it's also like a flexible community. Yes. So it could be that building up a community, a pop-up community, maybe thinking about this pop-up church, maybe it could be one of the BetaPorts here. So I would like to invite all the speakers again here into the discussion round, and let's try to find synergies, connections. Come here to the stage, please. Get your microphones. And I would like to really give you the opportunity to see how can we connect all those 4 scenarios. Do you see some overlapping? I definitely do, and you all pointed it out. It was all about sharing, it was about creating community spaces, it was all about creating communication. What was outstanding from you now when you heard all those different... And you traveled with all time travelers also. Can you give us some input for the audience?
Or maybe I can. I really like this idea of the church, to be honest, because that I'm not religious or anything, but like I think the church has like a architecturally speaking a certain typology and also a certain meaning in society. It's a place of gathering. It's a certain place of trust, and I think that's very important. Also, when we go to new modes of mobility, like autonomous air taxis, something like this, trust plays a very important role, and we have to create spaces that people trust, and that is even more important when they change over time, and we have to think of systems that enable that.
Yeah.
So true, thanks.
I also really like this metaphor, because it's not only about the mobility itself, but it's about the community that's built around. So also what the other factors that affect that, no? And as you said, also it could be flexible, a flexible community that is maybe even temporary, a pop-up community. So that also embrace all these changes that we have now, that are much faster, that are brought by technology, for example. So it reacts to this idea of flexibility. Yeah.
Thank you. What do you two think?
Yeah, I'm not missing points. I thought there are so many points. It was really great. In point, I also like this new typology, as you said, the church, but maybe there are 2 typologies. One is this flexible, like we have it here, and it's really fantastic in my eyes. You can have a building and it's leaving after a few weeks. But in our case in Tegel, these are 6-level buildings, and this is like a church. You have to think, how could be this typology in architecture? with these different functions, and it's really complicated, this different functions, and this was really great. Yeah, I found it really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, it's a bit, I mean, obviously the church is, as a picture, amazing. But yeah, for me, the major point was the flexibility. Yeah, we need to create a space at the end where people can meet and come together. Yeah, and it's not just about mobility, yeah, or parking cars. It's about connecting it to the society. Yeah, there will be, like in the past, a train station. Yeah, when we think about the 19th century, the train station was the place to be. Yeah, hopefully better than the train station. Just you went there to travel. Yeah, and I think, and that's what I understood from your point of view. For you, there are centers of your community. Yeah, like with the post boxes, with logistics. We didn't talk about logistics today that much, but I think it's something which needs to be integrated in that as well. And for that, it will be, at the end, it will be places where we all meet.
Yeah.
And be together.
Yeah,
So
I think
true.
it's very interesting, exactly as you said, that is something else than only the station and some commercial activities around it. It is really something more, social services, a school maybe. Or maybe energy is an energy producer, even the hub, you know, is not anymore only the spot where the train comes or the mobility arrives and exchange and people and goods come and go.
And on the other hand, that is also, when you think as an urban planner, that will be the task for the future, because after the Second World War, we separated everything. You know, we separated work from living, we separated the cars from the bicycles. And I think what I realized today is we move all this together again. Yeah, we will go a different way. And this is also something we don't have the solutions for it yet, but we need to work on that.
Yeah.
Yes, this was the main actually reason why we brought you all here, to see that the future is not one future. It's not about the future just of the mobility hubs, but it's also the future of mobility. So when we talk about hubs, how can we actually integrate the mobility in between? Are those hubs maybe like the intersection points? You see, like when people, as you mentioned, like train stations or a post office. So create also from these spaces that are maybe right now just run-through spaces, really nice spaces to connect and to meet. So it's all about futures, multiple futures that need to connect. And it was really nice today here. Maybe one short thought, how was it for you to be in the future in 2035? How is it for you? Desirable?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Give us
I
some...
think positive, definitely. I mean, especially, the idea acknowledging that that certain things are coming, and also that are already part of our life. This is already, I think, a very positive mindset, because it doesn't only neglect them. You know, it takes into account that they exist. Yeah.
Thank you.
Personally, I think like events like this, like. Help me like anticipating the future even more, because you see it's not one future, like you said, it's futures. It's a collective future that is about this participatory process, great people coming together, brainstorming, you know, like with new ideas. And like Dennis said, like there are good ideas in the past actually, that maybe need to be brought back. I always also think about like how flying used to be in the 20s. Yeah, it's not like the airports today, let's say. And I think it will be all about community sharing, network, and transparency as well, and this certain openness that we create.
Yeah, highly agree. How was it for you too?
Yeah, it will be exciting.
It will be exciting. It already is. Yeah, we are in the future somehow. Yes.
I like a lot that's about the physical world. I mean, I'm pretty interested in the virtual world. I think that gives the whole society another layer, but it comes down, even with the Corona years now, it comes down to the physical world. You need to meet, people need to meet, we all need to meet. I'm happy to be here. It's my first workshop since 1.5 years, and I'm realizing how I'm enjoying it. How I enjoy meeting people, meeting new people, and that is also something which I think is important to consider, when you create the spaces where you meet.
Great, thank you. So maybe at this point we gave a big thank you again for BetaPort to make this happen, that we can meet and exchange here. I have one last question, a short question for all of you. From tomorrow on, how would you integrate all those insights from the futures? Just one thing that you might integrate into your work, that you think, okay, maybe we have to think also on this, in this direction. Is there anything that you could say? Maybe also meeting all those interesting people here.
I think it starts with sitting together and talking much more than we did today. No, that's all I wanted to say, because I think this is the way to go, a networked way, non-separated, no walls, like not locking yourself into, but start talking again.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, I would say a similar thing, because it's really, to me, is about integrating this expertise, sitting together, as you said, in the same way that it could be virtual or not, but really sharing these ideas or sharing this also data and the information and putting it together and not separately, isolated as it is now. Yeah.
Nice, thank you.
Okay, in my case, I really take all these ideas, or a few of them, and we are just starting to build this building, and I can take it one-to-one.
So a lot of future DNA that you can integrate now.
I can really use it immediately.
Really cool. Thank you.
That's a luxury thing to do. You really have a project.
Luxury job.
Yeah, but it's nice. Yeah, for me, it's as Marvin said. I mean, it's letting other ideas from people or from other topics, letting them grow into your own work. I think that is an important thing to do. Yeah, be open-minded. I mean, we all probably think we are, but you need to work hard on it. And it helps having an event like that with seeing other views on the same topic.
Yes.
Helps a lot.
Thank you. I join you all in your futures. Beautiful, desirable futures. Thank you all again, and all the participants, for creating actually all those valuable future DNA building blocks. We are looking forward for the rest of the day here and the festival on GREENTECH Festival. And we give it a wrap. Thanks a lot. A big
Thank you very much.
clap.
Thank you.
Clap. And enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.